Hello everyone and welcome to the next in our series of daily origami for YouTube. Today is Tanabata, or the Day of the Star Festival in Japan, and for our last little bit in this series I thought we could go ahead and make the wishing stars that you sometimes see. These are just little tiny kind of three-dimensional stars that poof out, and they make really cute decorations. They are a little harder to kind of like add to, for example, a bamboo decoration for Tanabata, but if you're doing like a table decoration, these are a nice accent to kind of sprinkle around. And they're just kind of fun to make, and you know, kind of cool looking. So there's a lot of variation of the kind of size that people say of paper you should use. I think it's always best to just keep trying a couple times until you find one that works best for yourself. I know there's been some ratios of like 1 to 13. I like about, I think if it's a little narrower it's better, so I like maybe like 3 to 50. So what we're going to do today is I have a piece that's 50 centimeters by 30 centimeters about, and we'll go ahead and look at it this way, and then like I said, it's really kind of the kind of paper you're using, your personal preference. You might want to kind of play around with different widths and lengths till you find the one that suits you best. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to be just doing a series of folds over a pentagon shape, and we're going to start off with our paper here by tying it in a knot. So if you get a nice little loop going like this, you're holding it straight, and then you just bring it together. You should have the top of it kind of rolling upwards. Then we're going to take the left hand side and put it underneath the right side, and I've created then a loop here. And then I'm going to take some of this tail and tuck it into the hole, and then I'm just going to pull gently on this, and I want to keep just pulling and adjusting until I can get to a point where all my sides are even with each other. You want to take care that you don't accidentally, cut your paper as you're doing this, but you want to try to just keep pulling it together and looking for trying to create that pentagon, getting these two sides to come together at a nice peak, and slowly smush stuff down until you get something that kind of looks like this. And if it's not quite right, you can adjust a side. My side here is a little not quite right, so I'll just pull it over a little bit more until we try to make it as snug as possible. The more exact this is, this very first step, then the better your project's going to go. So it's good to take time to try to make sure that you get a nice crease right here where there's no space between at the top up there, and that the paper, this side of the pentagon, is the exact same width as the paper that's underneath it. So you should get something like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. I'm going to take this little bit that's sticking out here and I'm going to fold it over so that this bottom edge here lines up with this bottom edge. And when you do that, this edge should be even as well. Now, depending on how much tail you had when you made this fold, it might be just about halfway. It might be long like mine is. Mine extends a little beyond the edge of my pentagon, so I'm just going to cut a little of it off so that I'm left with a little bit that I can easily stick into these two pockets that you see here. Now, I'd recommend going ahead and putting into the one that's farthest underneath first, and then it's a little easier to go ahead and just lift up this other side a little to help it in. And you want to just smooth it and kind of shimmy it in until it gets lined up perfectly like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the longer tail that you see here, and I'm going to fold it up parallel, like snug against that edge. When I do that, I'm going to be bringing this edge on the right side to this edge on the right as well. So I'm just going to push it up, and this should really go just naturally along the edges of the pentagon as you do this. So you'll see that these two edges are lined up evenly. And then I'm just going to pinch down on the top of that side and allow the rest of it to come behind. And you'll notice if you've done that, your angles, it should just naturally line up really well with this edge down here so that we can push again. And this time the edge is going to line up along the bottom. And then I'm going to push and wrap around this edge again. And when I do this, it's going to wrap up and be even on the top right side and come out over here on the top left. And then I'm going to do this again, and when I do that, it's going to line up on the left side and come out down here at the bottom. I'm going to push it up underneath again, and it'll line up again with the bottom right edge. You don't want to make really strong creases here as you're doing this, just kind of a little smush to keep it going. But you do want to keep your paper tight. Again, just folding from the top right down, that's going to line up against the top left side, and then I can wrap around the bottom left. When I do that, it's going to bring those edges at the bottom together. Then I can do this bottom right side again, and it'll line up against this top side. And then I can do this side like so. Now, depending on how long your paper was, you can choose where you want to stop here on this. I've got not enough to come up around on this side, obviously, so if I turn it over, I just want to go ahead and cut some of this off so that I can tuck this into my pockets that I have here. And again, it's good to go ahead and do the one on the bottom first, and then you can lift this one up a little to help it get in. Then just kind of shimmy it in until it's really nice and secure, and you should have a nice little pentagon shape then here. And the next step is probably the hardest step to do this, and I have a hard time with it and get angry and wind up throwing them across the room. So I think it just takes a lot of practice and finding a kind of paper that works good for the way you work. For example, I know a lot of people like to use their thumb, but I usually have nails, and generally nails work really great for origami, but in this case actually nails don't work so good. If you stab at it right here in the middle, it's going to give too much of a sharp crease, and we want something that's softer. What we're going to be doing is we want to dent down each of these 5 sides to create a smoothed ridge. I think the thing that works really great is this is disposable chopsticks, and if you have this end over here, or even the front would work fine too, but this just works good for me. I think some people might find using a pencil works really good too. But what you want to do is you want to put your fingers and your hand around the other 4 sides and hold them steady, and then you want to push in this side, and like I said, we're just going to be gently, I like to just kind of rock it back and forth here, and I can slowly smooth it out. You're going to create kind of this like elliptical, like eye-shaped kind of, I don't know what that shape is called. It's like looks like an eye, but but you'll notice as I do this, I'm slowly smoothing it out, and if one of the edges here is kind of poofing out wrong, you kind of scoot it over a little bit. But you'll notice here I've got a nice kind of smoothed edge to the star. And I'm just going to go around and do this for all the 5 sides here. And like I said, I find using this, and just you do have to push pretty hard, but as I gently apply my pressure, you can get to a point where you can get it to go in the way you want to. And just keep going your way around. Some people like to make the edges kind of just a little bit, not so deep, a little more shallow. Other people like to make really sharp edges and make a bigger edge. It's kind of up to you and your preferences. But just keep working around until you can kind of rock this back and forth and make some nice smooth edges on the sides of your star. And that first one maybe I wasn't big enough, so I'll make it a little stronger. And you should get something then that looks like this. And like I said, if you want, if you want this to be deeper even, you can still keep working on these edges and try to make them even deeper. Or if you prefer to keep them kind of, make your stars more fat looking, then you can make that not so deep, but that should give you kind of a completed star shape there. And you can make these in lots of different kinds of sizes. This is a smaller version I've made, but I do think generally that actually origami paper doesn't work as well for this kind of a project. I think a slightly stiffer paper works better. But again, it is a challenge. Don't get discouraged. Before filming today, I threw away about 5 of these because it is tricky to find the right paper, the right width and length that really suits the way that you work. So don't give up because they are really cute when you can get them done right. So I would recommend, trying them out and have them for good luck for your celebration of Tanabata. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.